Thank you so much for listening to our online only service going out this week. We're so glad to have you here. If you don't receive updates for Centerpoint, what are you doing with your life? You can sign up in the link below and you get emails every week. It's so good to know what's going on. Another thing, I have a little side quest for the kids, and I'm sure the adults are not going to be able to resist. There are some little Jesus figurines hiding in the video as Pastor Aaron is talking. Who's going to be able to find the right amount? We want you to comment below how many you found, and we'll see who's able to find the right amount. We're so glad that you tuned in, and we can't wait to see you together next week.
All right, if you've ever grilled anything, chicken, pork chops, literally anything, you've probably heard of SPG. Different companies market it differently. The blend is my favorite. It's by Kinders, but it's all basically the same. It's salt, it's pepper, and it's garlic. It's not fancy, it's not complicated, but these three simple ingredients can completely make a meal. I've tried a number of different recipes with complex spices or mixes. Some have been excellent and some have flopped, but when in doubt, SPG is a consistent winner. Sometimes we think sharing our faith has to be complicated too. We think we need to know all the answers. We think we need to quote Bible verses from memory. We think we need to lead someone through a theological debate. But what if talking about Jesus or living out God's commission for us to go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you? What if that was more like SPG? Doing simple things that make a big difference. I want to read part of a verse for you today of how Jesus thinks of us. He says, "You are the salt of the earth," and then he says, "You are the light of the world." Now, what this is showing is Jesus never called us to be professional debaters. He called us to influence the world around us by being light and good salt. Salt and light are pretty basic things. Like, it's not be a fancy seasoned salt, and it's not be a fancy red light therapy light or something like that. Just salt and light. And what's interesting about both light and salt is there is a too muchness that goes with both. Like, too much light is, well, blinding and intolerable, and too much salt is, well, disgusting and also intolerable. So how do we do this Great Commission? Like, how do we actually share about Jesus? Because it is to be our mission. Well, on a weekend like this, I want to give you some clarity that you can use with your family or friends as you gather over the festivities this weekend. To start, let me show you what not to do. It's not any of these. Now, I get like some of these are a bit over the top, and I mean, these things could work. But if you're like me, when you see something like this, both as a Christian or non-Christian, we are all often repulsed by that. So what can we do that actually works? And what I want to do is actually SPG it and kind of use each letter of that. So salt, or the S, all right, so the salt, the S, is to share something. Salt is the foundation. Talking about Jesus often starts with simply sharing something. I mean, sharing something is foundational in any conversation, but in regards to faith, it could be saying, church was actually really helpful this weekend, or I heard an interesting message, or our church is doing something fun this summer, or our life group is getting together. It's nothing weird, it's nothing forced, it's just sharing what's already part of your life. People share podcasts and movies and shows and restaurants and recipes and like they share that with someone like of what they like. Faith can be a part of those things too, or a part of those conversations too. So again, just share something. That's the salt. All right, if we're going down the list now, so the next up of our SPG is pepper. Pepper adds a little more flavor, and what the P of SPG for pepper, what it stands for us today is personal story. Again, we're adding a little more flavor. My kids call pepper spicy, and for clarity, it is not spicy. But instead of just sharing information like we started with, share experience. And not just about church, but faith working in your personal life. For example, prayer helped me through that. Or this Bible verse has been very encouraging to me. Or God taught me something recently. Like, just be honest. Faith honesty is probably one of the greatest testimonies. Like when I've said often when sharing a personal story is I'll say, I doubted the power of prayer, but when I actually started to pray during my anxious times, my mind actually calmed. Most people, they won't argue with your experience. Challenging people, they might debate your beliefs. That is, if you lead with that, but they can't really debate your story. Again, for me, what this looks like today is I typically talk about the habits I'm learning and discovering, like that they have been in God's Bible or teachings for centuries, and sharing like what it's doing to my parenting or marriage or personal life. I'll share like how trying to be more servant-like or be a person of servanthood, which is what Jesus teaches. I'll share like how that has helped me be this better husband, this better father. Or I'll share prioritizing forgiveness, like which God commands, but like not only like I'll say does it not repay evil that causes more tension and prolongs the frustration with that person, but it actually feels helpful and freeing and the high road even. Sharing how biblical and faith-filled actions are actually changing you. It can feel a bit spicy, peppery, but it's really just you being honest and powerful. It's powerful to share. All right, the last one, our G, is garlic, or for us today, it's give an invitation. Let's put some of this on there right away. Garlic is what people remember. And it's like not the standard thing like when you're seasoning food, but it is typically the most memorable ingredient you add to any recipe. This may be my opinion, but there aren't a lot of things garlic is bad on. There are a lot of things you wouldn't think to put garlic on, but when you do, people typically respond like, is that garlic? It's delicious. Honestly, that's the same response that you could get when you give an invite to faith-oriented things or church. Is that garlic? This is delicious. Or you're inviting me? That's amazing. That could be the same response. There's actually a stat, I've shared this before, but it says most people are actually willing to attend church if invited. Over 80% of unchurched Americans say they would attend a church service if personally invited. Yet nearly 70% of unchurched people have never been asked. But the big challenge that many of us are responsible for is that Christians rarely ask. Again, that same database says only 2% of Christians ask. And that's sad, and I'll own it. I'm bad at this too. But know what gets me? We know people could use the invite. I can picture the cookouts that we're probably headed to this weekend. There's gonna be burgers, chicken, kids running around, fireworks, lawn chairs, and maybe one empty chair. Not physically empty, but filled with a person who is spiritually empty, without God. The cousin who smiles, but his marriage is falling apart, or the neighbor who's convinced no one really cares, or the coworker who's trying to hold life together. The friend who looks successful but secretly wonders if there's anything more. And here's what I wonder as I think about these moments. What if the reason God has placed you or me in their life isn't just because we're neighbors or coworkers or family? What if He placed us there because we're the one person willing to simply say, "Would you come with me?" Not because we're going to save them, Jesus does that, but because someone has to open the door. These words or phrases rarely come out of our mouths of, "Want to come with me sometime?" or "We're having a fun event at our church next month. Want to come and do lunch afterwards?" Most of us never even thought about this. Some of us maybe indirectly shared something on social media, but very few have actually given the invite. And I think that has to change. Scripture says, "And if someone asks you about your hope as a believer, always be ready to explain it." But instead of waiting for the ask, what if we do one better and just give it? It feels a bit forward, but if you had the solve to some of the world's greatest problems or struggles, you would share it, right? Like if you have the solve to heart's disease or loneliness or how to get through conflict or death, you would share it. You wouldn't be like, "Well, I hope they finally ask me for the cure." You'd be sharing it to the world. And I mean, honestly, that's kind of what you have. Like church provides community, which combats loneliness and also reduces the risk of heart disease. The Bible gives clear direction on how to handle conflict, and it actually works. And honestly, the Bible kind of has the answer to the problem of death as well. So an invitation isn't pressure, it's healing. Or at the very least, it's simply opening a door, giving good news. And that not only fulfills your call from Jesus to go out into the world, but it also could change your family members or friends' life. Some of you, I hope, found little Jesuses hidden in the video. How many did you find? I'm curious. Write it in the comments. But I'll tell you what, I think many of you found multiples of these little Jesuses in this video because you started looking for them. Because Bree told you they would be there and you were looking for them. This week, I think you'll discover the same thing about opportunities to talk about Jesus. You just got to start looking. And when you start looking, they're everywhere. If you picked up a service baggie, you should have gotten a few of these Jesuses, and maybe you need to put one on the desk at work, at your workplace, or at your house where you host people, or in your school locker, or in your car. But put it there to remind you that you can find opportunities to talk about Jesus anywhere. This week, I don't want you to preach a sermon. I don't really want you to win an argument about faith. I just want you to practice SPG. And I hope you got one of these shakers in your baggie. But again, the S, just sharing something. The P, a personal story. And then the G, give an invitation. Who can you do this to? Where can you do this? Start watching for Jesus moments, and you know what? You'll find them.